Welcome to the Action Drug Rehab Hour here in Santa Clarita on AM 1220 and 98.1 FM KHTS, our local hometown station. It's great to be here. So it's good to see you. We got a new guy helping us today. Say hi.
Yeah, hi. Happy to be here. Thank you so much for allowing me to join you guys.
We could not do this without you, man.
Oh, hey, I'm just happy to be a part of it.
We couldn't do it. Thanks a lot. We appreciate that.
Of course.
And a special thanks to the Goldmans for having us here, too, allowing us to be here and get this serious message out. You know, I was at work yesterday, and a close friend of mine, that's all I'm going to say, that works with me, lost her daughter to the same thing we've been talking about for the past few months, or actually I've been screaming for the last few years about it, which was fentanyl. So my prayers are with that person. I'm not going to mention her name, but it's so freaking sad that we've been sharing this over and over again for people that are out there using these drugs, man. Any freaking thing you buy on those streets is not real. If it doesn't come from a pharmacy, you're playing with fentanyl, and chances are you're going to die. It's not a matter of if, it's when. So I'm hoping that all doing the shows that we've been doing and the press conferences and everything that we're trying to do up here in Santa Clarita and everywhere, that we're going to make a difference and save some people. And again, I want really to make this clear. This is not a Santa Clarita problem. This is a complete problem across our nation, period. I get phone calls from different places, different cities, different states, all the time, and they're all having at least the same crisis that we're having here. Some places even worse. But what I will say is, it's crazy. I've been doing this now for 40 years. I've been treating people for 40 years, and I've done so many different things and been in so many different places, but I have never, and this is from my heart, seen a city do as much as Santa Clarita does. Never. I've never seen a sheriff's department that got so involved in community as the sheriff's department does in this community. And from the J team to the interventionist to the Captain Justin Diaz, which is with us today, and I certainly appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So I'm gonna let you take it over and just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do up here and all that good stuff, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty, and we maybe might want to interview Robbie sooner.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's talk. Well, yeah, my name is Justin Diaz, the captain of Santa Clarita Sheriff's Station. I've been here for about 2.5 years. And my partner in crime right here, Robbie Robinson, intervention specialist. Robbie, 1 year, a little over a year?
Yes, I've been here working with you, working with the department for about 1 year. I'm going on my second year and looking for a lot more years to come.
So Robbie Robinson, civilian intervention specialist, former probation officer for LA County. How many years, Robbie?
I did 35 years as a gang probation officer, and that's where you and I met over the years when we worked together down in Compton, and we did some really good operations helping the community.
And Robbie, local resident, invested in the community. That's why we brought him on. He's still got that drive. He's still got that determination. He loves it. You know, I mean, this is like, this is it right here.
Yes.
You should have seen him Thursday.
Yeah.
I tell you, we had somebody that was very psychotic and very out of control over at our corporate office, and Robbie jumped right in the mix and helped out. And I tell you what, I've never met somebody that cared as much as you, that was in a probation or in a county kind of a deal. I mean, you're just an amazing guy.
Thank you very much.
And I seen the results. I mean, you just showed me pictures, videos of kids that were in our program, young kids that were out of control. Now they're in your boxing training.
Yes, I have about two of them. One was being bullied, and he's just been fighting. And then I had one of the kids in the Tide program, and I've been training him. And recently, his mother said to me, she gave me some information. She said, well, you train with him once a day. He really wants to train with you more than once. I says, okay. So on my days off, I'm going to work with him, and we meet out at the park and run and do, but he just wanted more mentorship. So the boxing and karate training I give the kids is basically for mentorship. And some of them may go on and really do it, you know, as a professional, maybe go to the Olympics. But if nothing else, I'm giving them mentorship, something that the city is involved in because they have a lot of other programs that try to mentor and help kids. I'm just one of the little programs that tries to do that.
You're one big piece of the little program.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. I mean, you know, boxing, karate that you're teaching, mentorship, training, discipline, got to be there on time, got to do the workout,
Oh,
got to
yes.
follow up,
Oh,
got to come back
yes.
the next time.
Yes.
Get their homework done, obviously.
right.
Keeping
That's
them off
right.
the street
That's
after
right.
homework, then they go
That's
to karate
right.
or boxing.
That's right.
That's a big deal.
Well, I had a
huge.
bunch of kids. Thank you, Captain. I had a bunch of kids, and then it's narrowed down to the kids that really, really want it. And so I have about 5 or 6 kids that show up regularly. I've seen the improvement in their fighting and attitude, and even their parents are telling me that they have a better attitude and they're doing a lot better in school. And a lot of them, several of them are in school, and I go visit them
Right.
just to say, hey, I'm just coming by to see you, and let them know that I'm interested in them outside of being a boxing coach.
Yes.
And that's what I'm doing.
And we sure do need more mentors, because I mean, if you think about it for a second, 20 years ago, we had these sports people, right? You watch them, kids idolize them, and they were great. They were mentors.
Right.
Nowadays, if you watch them, they're going in and out of rehabs. They're getting
Yes.
arrested for domestic
Yes.
violence, and they're doing all kinds of stuff. So these kids really, I mean, I watched the fights this weekend, right? And what's his name was fighting. I don't even remember his name because I'm just lost. And after that, on the post interview, he's smoking a joint
Yes.
on TV.
Yeah.
It was like,
Not a
my-
good role model, right?
well, yeah. And my thing is, if you're a celebrity or an athlete, you need to be a role model and example. You owe it to your followers. That's just my opinion. And what I'm telling people, especially parents right now, is be to your kid what you want your kid to grow up to be.
And I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit.
Go for it.
But we know that marijuana is now being laced with what?
Fentanyl.
That's
Yes.
right.
We are
So
finding it in drug tests.
that's right.
We are doing that. There is really no safe drugs, as you're saying. There is no safe drugs, not even marijuana today. If you don't get it from a legitimate dispensary, and I'm not for marijuana in any matter, shape, or form, but I'm saying if you don't get it from a legitimate place, who knows what the heck is in that stuff?
That's correct.
If you don't get pills from a legitimate pharmacy, if you don't see it come from a pharmacist, you're playing with fire, Russian roulette with 2 bullets. And I'm being optimistic when I say 2 bullets. So you're right, it's really crazy. But you know what? If we want to talk just a minute about marijuana, I've put more people in the last year in psych wards. This is insane for THC consumption than I have crystal meth.
Wow.
Because what these
Yes.
kids are vaping
Wow.
now isn't what it used to be. Marijuana used to be the THC level in a joint. Used to be 0.3 milligrams.
Wow.
It's up to 30 now. And these new oils and edibles that these kids are eating, 100% THC. Says it right on the box. It's not pot anymore. It's a psychedelic, and it causes psychotics episodes. It's
Psychosis.
really psychosis. It's freaking insane what I'm seeing. And it's not just me, it's all the counselors that I know and all the rehabs that I know. So especially in young people, man. I mean, they just can't handle it. So yes, it's not only that is if it has fentanyl, it could kill you, but it's causing major psychosis. And all the studies also now show it causes depression and suicide. So we got a lot.
Scary stuff.
Everything is scary right now. It's a terrible time to grow up, especially if you're going to think about using any kind of drug right now.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to tell us some of the stuff that you guys are doing right now and what you're seeing?
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, gosh, we could be here all day talking, but we'll try and kind of narrow it down, and we'll throw some
no,
stuff
I told
to Robbie.
Jerry we might want to stay all day.
Yeah, and we might have to.
I'm telling you.
Yep. So I know that and just for our listeners and viewers, we have a juvenile team, or sometimes referred to as a J team, and that consists of a sergeant, 1 detective, 2 deputy sheriff generalists, a K-9 deputy, and then of course our civilian intervention specialist. And really what our J team's doing, it's really 2-part. On one side, they're working with our school resource deputies. We've got 7 school resource deputies plus a sergeant. And on the other side, they're working with our narcotics bureau.
Right.
And really, their mission is really, one side is intervention, right, with the school resource deputies and of course with Robbie. And then the other side is enforcement with our narcotics bureau.
Right.
And it's amazing that, it's tough because where we are with the district attorney's office. So let me back up a little bit. So beginning December 8th, 2020, we had a new district attorney come in. District attorney started on day 1, 9 special directives. one of which being non-filed misdemeanors. So basically, the police arrest you for a misdemeanor charge, and it's a non-file. So there's two different things that we're...
So they get arrested, but it never gets filed.
Correct, and let me tell you what the problem is with that. So in the past, we've always had DA rejects, and Robbie knows exactly what a DA
yes.
reject is, right? So a DA reject, the police make an arrest. This could be for any crime, and the DA can reject it. And it could be for various reasons. It could be maybe a poor police report or poor evidence collection, or maybe a witness recants, or maybe the victim doesn't want to press charges,
Right.
or there could be a whole host of reasons why there's a DA reject, but very common, right?
Correct.
Well, after December 8th or December 9th, 2020, when the new DA came in, after these directives, now there's a DA no file. So now it's not a reject based on something the police or a witness or a victim may or may not have done. Now it's an actual no file. Well, one of the no file crimes is any drug possession, or being under the influence of any drugs or any drug paraphernalia. So let's talk about what is that exactly. So that could be anything from marijuana to meth to cocaine to you name it, fentanyl, anything you can think of, various pills. Okay, so why is that a problem? Okay, so in the past, and Robbie, when you were on, and many years ago, basically you get arrested for drugs, right? Whatever it is, drug possession. Okay, you would see the judge. And the judge would make the determination. If you had a long record of it, the judge would say, okay, Mr. Robinson, you've been in my courtroom 6 times in the last 3 years. I'm going to sentence you to some sort of jail time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Mr. Robinson goes to jail for a period of whatever it is, a month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever. Or maybe Mr. Robinson comes in, the judge says, hey, Mr. Robinson, you have little to no record. I'm going to let you out on Prop
Diversion.
36,
For
right?
diversion.
On diversion.
Right.
And under Prop 36, Mr. Robinson would get let out of jail, and he'd have to go to drug classes, maybe to a program
Right.
like yours.
We actually did drug court in Ventura for many years, so yes.
Exactly. So now, if Mr. Robinson completed the class, great. Okay, you're wiped clean. Thank you very much. We got you the help. But if he didn't finish the classes, there'd be a warrant for his arrest.
So there'd be a hammer over his head.
There would be
too.
a hammer over
Get
his
sober
head.
or
Right. So now, under these policies, with the district attorney being a no file, now that created 2 problems. Now, not only do we not have incarceration,
Right.
but we don't have rehabilitation. We've got nothing.
there's no reason for them to go to treatment.
Well, no, it would be voluntary.
Exactly.
And as well as I know, voluntary treatment is very, very, very difficult to do.
People don't usually change behavior until they absolutely have to,
Mm-hmm.
until the consequences of what they're doing
Yes.
or the threat of the consequence, if they believe it, outweighs the payoff they're getting.
And, court mandated treatment is one thing,
Right.
Voluntary treatment's a whole nother,
It's a different ballgame.
Absolutely. So that's where we're at. And unfortunately, we don't have incarceration or rehabilitation.
How do you guys deal? How does your deputies deal with that when they see something and they know they're going to have to arrest this guy, but it's not going to go anywhere? How do they deal with that?
Well, I mean, they've been,
That's a hard one,
this
isn't
has
it?
been going on for, over 2 years now.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they understand it. It won't change anything that the sheriff's department does, and Robbie
course.
knows that.
That's right.
Sheriff's department will keep making the arrest, and what the district attorney does is their decision. We have no control over that.
I know.
But it's a shame because so many people are under the influence. It's scary. And you go into our jail. So our jail, we hold people 48 hours, excluding weekends and holidays. And then they either go to court from our station
Right.
or they go down to the main county jail. And you look in our jail, and the overwhelming majority of the people in there are under the influence of either drugs, alcohol, or they're mentally ill.
Right.
And most of the ones
It's
that are mentally
it's
ill...
really a drug. It's really like a psych unit, right? these
It's
days.
exactly what it is.
Yes.
And most of them that are mentally ill are, and Robbie knows this,
Right.
they're self-medicating with drugs and alcohol.
I wanted to just piggyback real quick on everything the captain's saying. We've worked together. We've worked together for years when I was a probation officer, and I want to say this. Since I've been in the city of Santa Clarita, the sheriffs have done, I'm with the J team, a great job. So long story short, I had 2 cases where I kept going to court and standing by the sheriffs and saying to the court, you know what, Your Honor, I'm a former probation officer. This kid is really having problems. you really need to do something, because either they're going to kill themselves or something's going to happen. It happened with a female who had a gun. She had the gun. She was with a gang member. She had been using drugs. She kept saying, nothing's going to happen to me. I took her to the judge. The probation officer did a fine job. And I just kept working with the deputies. We finally got the girl into placement
And
for
I
6
need
months.
to just jump in and say I watched how hard you worked on that
Oh, well,
one.
well, thank
that was
you.
one of our kids.
Yeah, that was one of our kids.
And you were relentless until that kid got help.
That's what we did. That's what Captain Diaz and I did when we worked years ago down in Compton. Is that we were relentless. The second case is right now I'm dealing with a young kid, 11 years old. 11 years old. The school is trying to help him. He has I think he has 6 curfew tickets. He is scared stiffless. I am going to go to court. It's not about detaining him. I'm pleading with the judge. The family needs help. The family really needs help, and there needs to be accountability. Even when I go out with the deputies who are out there with the crime prevention unit, I'm out there with them. They're doing a job. We're seeing the homeless encampments. I offer services. A lot of them don't want the services. And I still go out because maybe one will. Maybe 1 or 2 will take it up. But it's like my wife used to say, who really wants to be home? A lot of them have mental health issues. So it's the sheriffs, it's the intervention specialist, myself. You have social workers. We're all out there trying to make a difference. There's a great deputy out in Castaic, Deputy Rooney. Very good deputy. I go out with him maybe 1 or 2 times. Recently, with the fire that was in Castaic,
Right.
he and I were surveying the land to see if there were any homeless encampments there. We found a few. We went in there, walking up hills to see. There was nobody there, thankful, but we saw some of the encampments there. If anybody was there, he and I are offering them services to help them. Some follow up, some don't. But I'm not going to quit. I'm going to still offer services. I'm going to go out with the city. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do, because maybe we can reach one family and maybe it'll be a trickle effect.
I'm kind of selfish. I want to help more than one family, and I know you do, and I know
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
That I know.
Right. And you do a fabulous job. When I'm out, I recommend people to your program. I know that you have workers who will come and pick people up, and I know you have your program at night on Tuesday night at Sierra Vista for the parents. And I tell the parents, it's free. And my last thing, I have a kid who was assaulting his parent, assaulting his mother. He would punch her in the arm, picked her up, pushed her out of the room, and took his phone. Right. I said to the mother, please call the deputies and tell them. She called, but she made it sound like a whole nother thing. And I said to her, if you want assistance, he needs to go to juvenile hall so he can get the assistance he needs. He needs placement and he needs counseling.
And it's not just for his mother. Think this through for a second. If you have a child that is abusing his mother, what do you think is going to happen
That's
when
true.
it comes to family,
That's true.
wife, and children?
And I'm,
Parents are responsible for that.
Totally, and I'm there. I see what the sheriffs are doing, so my role is to stand with them. The new thing that I've started, if the parents are really upset, I tell them to write it out. I read it back to them, I sign it. Then I go to court with the deputies, or I go to court with the district attorney. This is the mother's statement, because we know that a lot of them will change when they get in court. Oh, no, this is what you said, this is what you signed. That's how I was able to get 3 kids detained.
Right.
So I told the deputies
And,
not to
and
give
again, I
up.
want to just bring this up. You don't get kids detained
No.
because you want them to go to jail.
No.
You get kids detained because...
They need help.
Exactly.
And people say, well, he might...
Now, granted, some people need to go to
Oh,
jail.
yeah, some people, let's
and-
get real.
Yeah,
Some people need to go to jail. Let's get real. There's a percentage out there, no matter what you offer them, they're criminally minded.
Right.
But you have some people, because of the use of drugs, they don't know what's going on. They have no clue. And then they'll say to me, did I really act like that when I see them sober? Yes, you did. Yeah, you were pulling your clothes off in the middle of the street. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were acting crazy. Yeah, you were being belligerent. So it's not about defunding the police. It's not about that. It's just a partnership. But some people need to go to jail when they are criminally minded.
Right.
And when you keep getting offered help and you still keep doing the same thing, like stealing, robbing, you need to go to jail. But if it's
Absolutely.
drugs, you need help.
Right.
And that's where we stand.
So that a perfect time to take a break. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Sure.
We will be right back.
Well, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon. I'm sorry, I just happened to look over at the clock. We're bringing you back. We have our great guest. We have our guest here, Captain Diaz, and I have my great friend and partner, Kerry Quashin, and we're here. We're talking about the issues of the drug epidemic and the other things that are going on in the city. So, with that said, I'm going to let Kerry start off, and then we will continue on.
Thanks, Robbie. I appreciate
Hey, that was pretty good, Rob.
Hey, I was thinking I need to have him on more often, don't I? That
Well,
was
you know
really
I'm here
good.
for you. Well, you know I'm here. I tell you
I'm
that.
telling you. You might have to take Austin's Awesome's name.
Well, hey, that's okay. Okay.
So, yeah, we were talking on break with Captain Diaz and talking about enforcement and getting people help. So I'm going to let you take it over.
Yeah, so no, we were just talking about, during our previous segment, we were talking about the district attorney's office and what they're doing and not doing. And really what it comes down to, and what we were talking about at the break, was if the district attorney's office will not enforce or file the arrests that we're making, where does that leave our drug offenders? And really it comes down to they have to want the help,
Right.
either themselves or their family can maybe have an intervention with them, or maybe somebody such as Robbie. But the unfortunate reality is that those interventions and those people accepting services are very, very rare, which I'm sure you know because that's the business you're in. But if you take the numbers, and I didn't come with numbers, although I should have, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of drug arrests a year by our station.
By
Hundreds.
our station.
Yeah, and just absolutely nothing's being done about
That's
it. They're all just no files.
And I
So-
wonder who voted this guy in. Sorry. but
That
have
I
to
don't
say it.
know.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
So basically, ultimately, what we need is not only drug offenders themselves, but their families, their friends, their work colleagues to really, maybe have an intervention with them. Robbie, would you agree? I mean, really,
course.
you've got to get them to want some sort of counseling services, some sort of addiction services, whether it be drug, alcohol, mental health, you name it.
I'm dealing with a family right now where a guy is using drugs. He's 29 years of age. His mother, I speak with his mom every week. I will not give up on him. He has a court date coming in October. My hope is that I'm going to ask my partner, Kerry, to come with me, and we're going to go to the court, and I will address the court. I'm writing up something to address the court. The mother's been keeping a record of the issues that she has been having. Let's get real right now. First it starts as an issue, then it becomes a problem. So right now it's a problem. So my prayer right now is when we go to court, Kerry and I go to court, I'm going to ask the judge if he can be taken now to a treatment program because he can't help himself. He cannot help himself. He's taken over his grandmother's house, and then he got wind that maybe things are happening, so he moved to Glendale. So we're praying that this happens. But I said something to Captain, and I said something to you earlier, Kerry. A lot of people, I'm not negating that they have mental health issues. I'm not negating that. I'm not negating that they have problems. But we all know that if you don't give them something or give them consequences, they just keep going and going and going. They become the Energizer Bunny. And the last thing I will say is a lot of people know right from wrong. But if there are no consequences, I can do what I want. The kids that were detained by me and the sheriffs and the probation department, they all said first, nothing's going to happen to me. But boom, it happened. We came together collectively and we spoke to the judge. And we overwhelmed him. And finally, we at least got 6 months for both of the kids.
Think it through for a second. If you keep doing something over and over and over again and there is zero consequences, what happens?
That's right. You keep
You
going.
believe you can keep doing the same
right.
thing over and over again without consequence. The problem is some of these youngsters that are getting away with stuff where they're not filing on anything. You know, I was running a group in Glendale, for instance, for years, and every week we'd have anywhere between 15 and 40 new kids ordered by court because they were smoking weed and they got caught. Then they legalized it. Now that we had to close that group because no one came. But these kids knew that they had consequences
That's right.
for that, and if they blew it, they had to go back to the judge. There's no file on anything anymore. So these kids now, what happens to them is they grow up and they hit adulthood, and they still believe they can get away with stuff. And
Of
yes,
course.
they can for a minute.
Well, and that's a good point. So not only is part of the directives no file for drug possession under the influence of drugs, that's for adults and juveniles, of course, but yet another directive that revolves around juvenile justice is a no file for all misdemeanors committed by juveniles.
That's sad.
So, Robbie, it is sad.
Isn't that
'cause
even
Sad.
driving under the influence and everything? I heard
well, it's
something
all-
like that.
That I don't know if DUI is counted, but all misdemeanors for juveniles.
Yes.
And that is sad, Robbie, because
Very sad.
you know that it starts with a misdemeanor, right?
Yep.
As you're young,
Yep.
and then things progress.
does.
And like you said, if that misdemeanor arrest doesn't result in anything, in no file, as a juvenile, then what's next?
That's
then
true.
what's next? A
There
more
you go.
serious misdemeanor, then a more serious, then maybe a lightweight felony, then maybe a medium grade felony, then a serious felony.
There you
and
go.
there's just this progression, and we have no way to stop it right now.
I went to a treatment center up in Gorman, and I was at the door, and as I was coming in, there was a kid that was on my caseload. He was a counselor. He said to me, you know what? Everything you told me happened. You told me that if I don't change, things will happen, and every time it will get worse. His words to me were, I chose not to listen. The programs and stuff were there. I chose not to listen. I wound up in prison. I've had all these issues. I found God. And I didn't tell him this, but I was like, you don't need to go to prison to find God. You can find him out here now. But that's just my personal thing. I didn't say that.
Right.
But while he was on talking, his words were, if I had have listened, I would not be in this situation that I am now. Years ago, a kid that was on probation, if he got a misdemeanor, they put him in the GAP, Gang Alternative and Prevention Program. That was a program that worked with you to keep you from getting a felony. If you choose not to follow the program or you were in violation, then it, like Captain said, you got filed on it, took it to another ball game. Camp at that time was 369, and you might have got a year in fire camp. And if you really were a constant problem, then they sent you to the California Youth Authority for a 90-day diagnostic.
And now they send you home.
They send you home.
Well, and not only do they send you home, but now your parents,
Are
in
dealing
theory,
with it. Yep.
the parents have to deal with
There
it,
you
right?
go.
So,
Exactly.
they know, hey, judge isn't doing anything, probation's not doing anything, they're not going to Silmar. Here, mom and dad, here's little Johnny. Well, mom and dad have to figure out what to do with little Johnny. Well, most of the time, Robbie, please correct me if I'm wrong, they don't know what to do.
They don't.
Who do we call? What do we do? And then, like you said, one of you just brought it up, Johnny might be the one who's abusing the parents. Or, Robbie
That's
brought
right,
that up.
that's right, that's
And,
right.
Actually, I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's
And-
parent,
Right.
Captain, there's parent abuse
I
constantly.
got to tell you one quick story. I was in Glendale one time, right? And all the parents were sitting in a little group. And there were two parents. I mean, the guy was extremely large, and his wife, and they were talking about their little kid that was punching holes in walls, breaking the house up, and tearing everything apart. And this little lady said, you know what? My son did that when he was 12. He broke a window. And you know what? He looked at these people and he says, why don't you stop it? And they said, ma'am, what do you mean? He's out of control. She said, so was my kid. She said, the first time he did it, I called 911.
That's right.
I had the deputies come over. It was Glendale Police Department. I had them come over, and I said, I want my kid arrested. I love him more than anything, but I will never allow that to happen in my house.
That's right.
Ever. And the cop decided to try to talk her out of it. So they obviously walked in the other room and they discussed it, and they took this little Johnny to jail. And Mom didn't answer the phone for 2 hours. This was all thought of. And when she did come, she went there and said, if you ever do that again, ever, we're going to go to juvenile, I won't pick you up. You think he ever did it again? Of course not. First time he did it, not only did he not do it again, he fixed the door. So I had finished this one. So the father of the other kid said, you know what, I don't know that I can do that. She said, if you love your kid, you will.
That's right.
And you know what? That night, Kid threw the phone through the window. Dad went into his car, drove down the street, and called the police. Things changed.
That's right.
Good.
There was a very good judge down in Sylmar, Judge Rockman, he's retired. There was Judge Gold. There was Judge Polinsky. At that time, I used to bring kids in who were troublesome to sit in court and see what was going on in court. And also, we would take them back in the holding cell before court. And all the kids in the holding cell, you would see a whole nother attitude. And we used to let them sit there, and they'd be watched. 2 or 3 staff would be in there. But you can't do that now.
You know what I
There's
you know
nothing
You know
now.
what I used to do? Remember the old Ricky Lake show?
Oh, yeah.
I was her expert. So I'd fly out to New York, and we would take kids to the scared straight places in jail and put them in cells.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, we did some amazing things you can't do anymore.
No, you can't.
I mean, it's just not, those programs aren't there
But the
anymore.
pendulum will swing. People are getting tired. People want answers, and people are looking out in the streets and seeing things happening. You see how things are happening, running into a 7-Eleven and just taking stuff without any consequences. My grandmother said this: you may get by, but you won't get away. She told me this: you may get by, but you won't get away. When I come to the Tide program, I tell the kids, if you're involved in things, it's just a matter of time before you get caught.
Of course.
You will get caught. You don't, if you put corn in the ground, you don't get tomatoes, you get corn. So if you're out there doing this, you may go for a long time, but sooner or later you'll get caught. And then you're going to say, why are you here? Then you start thinking, a lot of it is drug induced.
Then you get religion.
Yeah, of course you do.
God, get me out of this one.
Yeah.
I'll never do it again.
Oh, yeah.
Well, one thing, and I'm kind of switching. You're talking a lot about juveniles, and it's getting my brain going. I'm kind of switching gears a little bit. Juvenile programs. So we'll get parents to ask us all the time. And I'm not talking treatment. I'm talking, keeping kids out of trouble, juvenile
Yes.
programs. What do we
Yes.
have in Santa Clarita? So a few things that come to mind. First off is our Vita class. So
You know, we helped write that.
did you really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that
down
must have been many years
in
ago.
East LA, yes.
Ah, very good.
And-
Well,
yep.
it's a very successful program.
Yes,
It is
Deputy
either
Ferrone.
16 or 17 weeks. Deputy Tim Ferrone runs it. He's been doing it about 12 or 13 years,
Yes.
give
What
or
a great,
take.
what a great guy.
Oh, he is. And he's got
Terrific.
a passion
He
for it,
does.
similar to Robbie. Same thing. I was just at their intake night maybe, 3 or 4 weeks ago. It'll go 17 weeks, and then we'll have a big graduation for them. I think we've got 22 or 23.
JC does the counseling.
Yeah, I know she does.
Yes,
One
yes,
of our
she does.
counselors. Yeah.
So great program. So if anybody listening is interested in our Vita program, that's done out of Oak Hills Elementary School in Stevenson Ranch in Westridge, actually, right off of Valencia and the old road there. So great program. This particular class will probably be done, I'm going to say, in maybe 2 months, 2.5 months or thereabout.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got that. For residents of Valverde, we've certainly have our Valverde Youth Activities League, our YAL. Deputy Rooney, Brian
Great
Rooney, we
man.
already mentioned him. Deputy Rooney is right up there with Deputy Ferrone and Robbie. Deputy Rooney's probably been doing that program 12 or 13 years.
13.
Truly committed. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yes.
And he's grown up with a lot of these kids, and he does great over there. They do after school, they do
Yes.
sports, they do weekends, you name it. So that's great. We've got our Boys and Girls Club out here.
Yes.
So
In fact, I'm going to talk to their safety committee today.
Good,
Tonight at 6
good.
o'clock, yeah.
Well, and Boys and Girls Club's doing a lot of great things. Of course, the newest one is the Castaic Club, and then of course we've got our Newhall Club, and then our
Yes.
Canyon Country Club.
Yes.
So they are keeping kids out of trouble after school, right? A lot of great
Correct.
juvenile
Oh,
programs, and keeping kids occupied. And then you say, well, I'm not interested in any of those. What else? Well, gosh, there's sports programs everywhere you can imagine,
The
from
city.
AYSO to city programs to you name it. Baseball at heart, gymnastics, you name it. I mean, anything that, hey, school's over. Okay, get little Johnny and little Susie over
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
gymnastics
That's right.
practice,
That's
or get them to karate at
That's
Heritage
right.
Park.
That's right.
So really, that's the name of the game too.
And find something for them, especially when they're young. I hear, well, my kid don't. We tried baseball, he didn't like it. Well, then try karate. We tried karate, it didn't work. Then try horseback riding. Find something that's going to occupy your kids so they're not alone out there.
That's right.
I've been doing some, as you know, surveys, and the average parent This is sad. The average parent spends between 2 and 10 minutes a day talking to a teenager. The last thing a kid does before they go to sleep is they grab their phone and say goodnight to their friends. First thing they do when they wake up in the morning, pick up their phone, look on their social media, say good morning to their friends, say hi to their parents, and go in school. So they go to sleep with their friends, they wake up with their friends, they go to school with their friends, they come home with to their friends, and then they get that 2-minute conversation. How was school? Was good. Do you have any homework? I done it. Are you hungry? I ate. Parents, listen to this. Get your kids involved. Be part of the solution. Don't just sweep it under the rug.
Yeah, and the other thing, and it's no secret, some of these sports are big money.
Yes, they are.
If you're going to take on baseball or gymnastics, even football, I mean, those are just popping into my head. That's big money. It's not a cheap sport. By the time you buy the equipment,
My kids in hockey, my goodness.
Yeah,
I
so by
feel
the
bad
time
for 'em.
you buy the equipment, you run them to all these different events, clear across the
Yeah,
county.
right.
We got to meet in San Diego or we got to meet in Ventura, whatever. But and that is certainly the case. But the city has got an unbelievable Parks and Rec program, and there's almost every sport you can think of through the city, little or no cost.
Right.
Yes.
And I mean, there's an alternative right there that is cost effective. It's run by city staff, people that are vested in our community, because not only do they work for the city, more than likely they live out here. And it's great partnerships. So again, the city Parks and Rec, you go on their website and you look at all the classes, it's almost overwhelming.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
great alternatives.
Now really are some great stuff up here. If you really want something to do for your children, it's here.
Well, the city's invested. I've been here. The city is very invested. And when you heard me talk about teaching boxing, karate, I don't even charge the kids.
Right.
I mean, I was teaching out at Afterburn, and then I have about 4 or 5 weeks where I just meet some of the kids in the park. And there's about, as I was telling the captain, there's about maybe 4 kids that come regularly. And they come and I talk with the parents. The parents are very supportive. And I was telling them I'm not going to let them start competing until next year, because I want to give them a strong foundation. Not only that, I teach them morals, and I give them a saying: I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't gamble, I don't curse, and I don't carouse. There's no need to be weak mentally or physically. We'll have self-respect, confidence, and understanding. And I say that every day to those 4 or 5 kids. They put their hand out, and then for whatever it's worth, I pray for them. Nobody wants to do that anymore. We've taken God out of the equation, and I'm not trying to be overly religious and say, well, no, you got to start praying for your kids. You got to start being there for your kids, and you're not your kids' friends. When they get older and have their own children, they can be your friend.
Exactly. But
But
you still will be mom or dad first.
No matter what. I'm
Always.
still your coach, no matter what. It's either yes coach or no coach.
all that stuff we heard when we were growing up. Families that pray together, families that eat together, families that play
That's
together.
right.
Those kids do good.
They sure do.
And there's 3 types of categories of children, just to throw it out there. There's high maintenance, high risk kids. No matter what you do, they're going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, they're going to use drugs, fight, steal, that kind of stuff.
Right.
That's the smallest category.
Yes.
The next category is the ones that they know what they want to do in life. They're gonna get there no matter what. They want to be a sheriff. They're gonna go to school. They're gonna take care of business. They're not gonna get themselves in trouble. They have a mission. They know where they want to go. And the largest group now is what you call the fence sitters. They're the ones that will go with the flow.
Yeah.
The reason why we're losing so many of those kids today is 2 to 10 minutes.
Yes.
That's why. And those are the ones that are getting in more trouble today. They're using more drugs. They're getting in more trouble at school. They need role models. They need parents to be parents, not friends.
That's true.
I agree.
Totally agree.
Well stated.
Very well stated.
Sometimes I get lucky.
No.
Yeah, well,
Experience.
and a big part of this, and I see we got 1 minute till we're up. Big part of this is social media.
Yes.
I mean, think about it. Our generation did not grow up with social media
No.
or even cell phones,
No.
or at least not smart cell phones. I thought I was cool when I had a flip phone back in the day.
Remember when the
did I.
cell phones first came out?
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you had a flip phone, you were pretty
You
cool,
were-
right?
First they
you were on.
had these big old beepers, remember?
Yeah.
And then they had beepers with your phone number in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then cell phones came in, and I thought we were part of Get Smart.
Yeah. Well, now the kids have cell phones and they're on social
They can
media
do
and on the
everything on
internet.
it.
And the problem is that we as parents, we as teachers, we as, adults don't teach them right and wrong, and they essentially don't get lessons in social media, formal lessons.
No, but if kids are connected to their friends, and let's face it, they're spending 16 plus hours a day with their friends, 2 to 10 minutes with their families. If they're connected to their friends, who becomes more important? Who do
Their
they want to
friends.
please more, their friends or their parents?
Yes.
When mom used to be home waiting for milk and cookies, and I'm not against moms working, I think it's great. But today in most homes, if there's a mom and dad even living together, they're both doing something. So the person little Johnny is paying attention to and getting all his life lessons is the internet and his friends.
yeah.
So he wants to please them versus family.
Scary stuff in that internet, a vast world of anything,
Anything
and
goes.
scary stuff.
Yeah.
Anything. On that note, let's take a break. This is the Action Drug Hour along with Captain Diaz and Robbie Robinson. Welcome back to the Action Drug Rehab show here at AM 1220 and 98.1 FM, your hometown station, KHTS. What a great show. I love having you guys here. I want a special thanks to the captain and to Mr. Robinson over there who tried to
Just
take
call
my
me
job
Rob.
last time I brought it back.
No. No.
But you know, I mean, people, I hope people can really hear how much you guys care about our community.
Well, we do, and certainly you are not to be forgotten.
That's
I mean,
true.
this is you're it,
You're
man.
the- you're the man.
You're ground zero. You're it. You're where the rubber meets the road. You and Robbie. So
yeah.
thank you for doing what you're doing. I'm sure you have saved hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of lives over the years, and I know that you're going to continue.
That's the goal.
And Santa Clarita, we're always known. I say it all the time, and it's so true. It's this big town, right, with this small town feel.
That's true.
And really, it comes up. Really, what makes that happen is grassroots efforts, such as this guy and such as this guy
And
right
you too,
here,
Captain.
Carrie and Robbie.
I was running groups here 35 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. It
Wow.
was called Tough Love in those days.
Yeah.
We were running them 35 years
That's
ago.
great. Well, I tell you, the city is getting big, obviously.
is.
And when I say the city, I just mean the Santa Clarita Valley. That's the unincorporated county area and the city. It's huge. When you think about it, and don't hold me to those numbers, we probably have 50-something parks out here.
Yes.
We have 70-something schools. We have
Oh, yes.
60-something places of worship. Think about it. 3 Metrolink stops, soon to be 4.
Right.
3 In-N-Outs, soon to be
Yeah.
4. Find me another city with 4 In-N-Outs, right?
Watch this one.
that puts you on the map
How
right
many
there.
Starbucks?
Oh, I don't know how many.
Can't even
a lot.
count 'em, yeah.
A lot. No, but point being, it's a big city. It's a big area.
yeah.
The Santa Clarita Valley is big. It's growing. Certainly all the area behind Magic Mountain.
Oh, yes.
At build out, that's going to be another, 60,000 people. And
Incredible, isn't it?
it is incredible. And really, hopefully, us as a community, regardless of what your role is, whether you're into addiction services or intervention specialist or policing or coaching or whatever the case may be, teachers, doctors at Henry Mayo, whatever the case is, hopefully we can continue as the city expands over the next 20 years. We can continue these grassroots efforts.
Right.
Because if we ignore it, it's only going to get
true.
worse.
That's true.
And it's hard to combat it. It's hard for it not to get worse, even doing what we're doing. So imagine if we weren't doing anything.
That's true.
That's true. I remember when I was a kid, we used to come out here at 16 years old just for Magic Mountain. Nothing was out here.
No.
And now look, it's also an amazing place to live. But remember that, folks, where there's a lot of families and a lot of kids, there's a lot of drugs and a lot of issues that come along with that. So my plea now is for families: be there for your kid. Spend time with your kid. That 2 to 10 minutes don't work. If you go to dinner and you're sitting at a restaurant and you're checking your Facebook to see how many likes you got, and the kid is texting his friends, I mean, that's ridiculous. Be there, be a family, love and be supportive. I don't have much else to say. Robbie, do you have anything?
My last real comment, I have a great sergeant that I work with, Sergeant Diego Andrade. Really good, really caring, really understanding. And like I said, I've been knowing the captain over at least 15 years or more, because going back and forth as a probation officer. But my final thing is, as you said, work with your kids, start really working with them, take time with them, and just hear what they have to say. And you have to have, as my wife says, you have to have boundaries. If you don't have boundaries, things go haywire. And right now, my focus right now is on the broad spectrum. I got a kid 11 years old and one 29 years old, and I'm trying to help both of them. And I thank goodness that I've had